You ever been to Lake Ozark? It's right here. Right here in the middle of Missouri, in the middle of the country. It's a simple place, really. It's very green and blue. Most people take a boat to get from point A to point B. And it's peaceful. It's supposed to be peaceful. In the summer of 2018, my friend Abby invited our whole group of friends to her family lake house. Everyone except me was immediately really excited to go. I didn't not want to go. I was just afraid. But our bodies and our brains are incredible machines. They know when there's an opportunity you should seize, and your brain is going to give you a good fight until you just give in. So there I was, a terrified 18-year-old on a flight to Lake Ozark with 5 of my friends and not a single clue of what to expect. Not a clue. The airport was 3 hours from the lake house. So after landing from our 3-hour flight, we had another 3-hour trek ahead of us. We were driven by this woman named Cindy.
And you flop it. This one, like, she kept injuring her car out, like, man, I was here before you were. I'm like, oh, I was in the circle before you were.
Cindy told us she's been driving to and from the Ozarks for years, so she knows these roads like the back of her hand. But as soon as she started driving, I realized she was wearing gloves. Cindy was swerving all over the road. On the highway, she'd be in the middle of 2 lanes while being knee-deep in conversation with us. And she talked with her hands, so you can find them anywhere but the wheel. And if she wasn't using her hands for talking, she was using them to grab her giant bottle of Gatorade. When there was a turn on the highway, she would slow down from 90 to a moderate 70. But finally, we get there. I remember the feeling of relief when we got out of the van, and I was able to take a breath of the woodsy Missouri air. Early in the trip, there was talk of this small yet, in hindsight, terrifyingly large mountain that you could jump from into the lake.
Oh. Close your eyes.
Immediately, questions and doubts started flooding my mind. It seemed like as I was thinking of everything that could go wrong, my friends were thinking of everything that can go right. I'm sure a part of them were a little nervous, but by no means did their fear overtake their excitement.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The words, "Don't do it," kept replaying in my head. On one hand, I wanted to be brave and jump, but on the other, I had already thought of about 20 tragic headlines they could use to describe my fall. Now, this may come as a shock to you, but I didn't jump. Later that day, after the sun had set, we went to the dock and climbed to the top of the diving board to look up at the stars. I remember looking at the sky that night and just being mesmerized. In my entire life, I've never seen so many constellations. Suddenly, I'd forgotten all about the jump. It hit me all at once that it wasn't the act of jumping that I craved so deeply. I'm not an adrenaline junkie. It was the experience and the courage. I wasn't jealous that my friends jumped off. I was jealous that they weren't afraid to. But as I was sitting there, staring at the stars, the universe provided me with the answer to a question I'd been asking myself all week. Why does it matter? I shifted my gaze for a moment and looked at what was around me. There I was, a slightly less terrified 18-year-old on Lake Ozark with 5 of my friends and not a single clue of the stories I'd have by the end of the week. So it didn't matter. It never mattered. I was a part of the story, I just wasn't the one that jumped. I always wonder why in life we tell ourselves in order to be successful and reach our goals, we can't be afraid to jump. But maybe it's not that we're afraid to jump, but we're just not ready to. Who knows? Maybe 5 years from now, I'll go back to Lake Ozark and I'll find that same mountain and I'll do a backflip in the water. But probably not. All I know is that I'll jump when I'm ready.